I remember once when I was young, I was just ripping on one of my buddies, just doing typical guy shit, just busting each other's balls. I don't know if I took it too far or what, but my grandpa was over and he had overheard some of the goings on between us. And after my buddy had left, my grandpa pulled me aside and he was like, "Hey, Roman, I'm going to teach you something." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, what's that?" And he said, "You talking shit about your buddy like that says way more about you than it does about him." And that really, really hit home and it really registered. I was little when he told me this, probably 13, 14, and it's still, I'm 53 and I'm still telling it. It really stuck with me. The way you talk and carry yourself, it says way more about you than anything you're talking about. And that's really is true. I've always sort of looked at everything through that lens ever since, especially like friendships and people and stuff. I remember once I was tattooing these girls. I think there was like 3 or 4 of them, young bar starry kind of chicks. And they're cool, they're nice enough. I remember they were just trying to be cool or something. They're ripping on one of the girls, Like, I remember them being like, "Oh, you're so drunk and embarrassing last weekend. I can't believe you did that. We had to take care of you." And so, like, they're just kind of making sure I knew that they had to look after her when she was loaded or something. And just kind of, I don't know, I guess it was their fucking girl version of the whole building yourself up by tearing other people down. Like, it wasn't like really mean or anything, but they just like were kept going on about it. So eventually, when I made eye contact with the girl, I just gave her a little wink just to let her know, "I know what these bitches are doing. Don't worry about it. It's cool." That was another example of it said a lot more about them than it did about her. I was thinking about that story last night, and it got me thinking about friends and friendships and the people I outgrew, the people that outgrew me, the excuses for some people you make for having them in your life. It's hard when you form friendships when you're little. You're friends because you're in the same grade and you're just forced to be around each other. But once you get older and you're out of school, your friendships can be, some are based on work, but they become more about if you're into the same thing. It goes from toys when you're young to kind of booze when you're late teens or whenever the hell you start drinking into your early 20s. Same favorite sports teams, kind of music. Eventually, cracks start showing through in some people's character, and being into the same sports team or the same kind of music, or you both like drinking or drugs. After a while, it's not enough anymore. You get older, you realize values is really the only basis for friendships. I remember when I was young, hanging out with coworkers, and they're kind of fun to smoke a joint with, and then after a while, you see them getting loaded and starting fights, just being idiots, and you're like, "Oh man, I don't want to hang out with this person, but I have to work with them. I don't want to offend them, I guess," or you don't want to make it uncomfortable at work. I think a lot of people can probably relate to that. People you used to want to hang out with and you don't anymore, and like, how do you get rid of them and change it? It's really hard to call people out on something, especially if they're fairly nice. For anybody that's having a hard time getting rid of some friends that they know they should, all you gotta do is kind of distance yourself. It's still mildly uncomfortable. There's no real super easy way to do it, but you can distance yourself eventually. For people I had a hard time getting rid of, all of a sudden, I wouldn't answer their phone calls. You'd phone them back later, and then you phone them back the next day or 2 days later, or at first you cancel plans, and then you just kind of, "No, I'm busy," and then I'm just sort of doing other shit. And that's the way to do it if you're having a hard time just severing the ties and just telling them, "Hey, I don't want to do this anymore." Factoring in the uncomfortableness and the insecurities you might have about ending friendships or telling people the truth about how you feel, where you just feel you're growing apart. Again, you can at least distance yourself. It might take a little longer, but you'll get there eventually. If I had to give any advice to younger people looking back, it's ditch 2 fucking losers out of your life and maybe reach out to 2 people you find interesting that you'd like to connect with and see if anything good comes out of it. It might not, but it doesn't hurt to try. Because even though it's a played out cliche, it's kind of true. You are the average of who you hang out with, your 5 people or whatever it is. There's this post-hardcore hybrid metalish band called, or they were called the Dillinger Escape Plan. And they changed singers kind of near the beginning of their career, and their second singer was this really jacked dude named Greg Puciato. And after about a year of him being in the band, you'd see some of the photos. The other guys started to get like, not jacked, they're musician types, but I mean, they're getting, you could tell they're in good shape. They looked like swimmers or soccer players or something. And you could tell he was having an influence on them just by being who he was. I don't know exactly how it went down, but you could tell in one form or another, he really influenced them by being in fucking good shape. He wasn't like bodybuilder big, but he was gymnast big. He was fucking, yeah, he was ripped. And then, within a year, a couple of the other ones were too. That's a positive influence. The people you really got to stay away from are those people where you tell them some idea or plan you have, and all they do is tell you the 15 things that's wrong with it. Not you could have had a bad idea, but you get what I'm saying. Like, these people that do that, they usually do that about everything, because that says more about them than it does about you. I don't think it makes them bad people. I don't even know if they notice they're doing it half the time. They're just taking their childhood and the way their dad or mom treated them out on you, and half the time it's subconscious. I remember once my mom telling me that I was a lot like dad. Not in a mean way, she wasn't mad at me, but she just said it matter-of-factly. I was like, fuck, there's no way. I'm like this metal kid, my dad's like pretty straight and narrow. She didn't mean we had the same interests. She said underneath we were kind of similar. If it wasn't about something we liked, we were kind of bored and didn't really pay much attention. Our head, I'm bad for that. When somebody's talking about something I don't want to talk about or I find boring, I'm just like, my head's in the clouds, or I'm changing the subject to something I think is more interesting. And my dad's the same way. But because I'm into death metal and he was into golf or whatever, I thought we were totally different. But no, our interests were different, but the underlying mechanism of how we operated was the exact same. My mom was totally right. But when she first said it, I didn't see it at all. So yeah, the same goes with people that are telling you 12 things that's wrong with your idea. I don't think they consciously go, I'm going to tell him 12 things that's wrong with his idea, and hopefully he won't do it, and stay in the comfort zone that I visualized. A lot of people, they want you to stay like you were when they met you, for better or for worse, because for some reason it's comfortable to them. It's subconscious. These aren't conscious choices, I don't think. A lot of times when we progress or start to make positive changes in our life, it forces people to look at their own stagnation, and they don't like that. So they subconsciously, through whatever means, ridicule or just, that's not going to work. That's going to take so much effort. Are you sure you want to do that? Again, I don't think they're malicious most times. I'm sure sometimes they are. But just because they're not malicious, that still doesn't mean you have to allow that into your life. Most of the people that I hang out with now are people that think like me with the same values. And a lot of them are people I met just in the last 5 years, because that's where I'm at value-wise and development-wise. Half the people I grew up with, we've just moved away or grown apart. There's no hard feelings. Like, it'd be cool if you saw them wherever. Life gets busy, you just sort of grow apart. And it opens up room to meet new people. The older you get, you know more what you like, what you don't like, what you'll stand for, what you won't. You end up gravitating towards like-minded people. So no matter what stage you're at, if there's people you don't want to hang out with anymore, you find them very annoying or draining or whatever, just distance yourself. If you can't flat out cut them out, and it'll just sort of take care of itself. Cut some losers out of your life, reach out to some people you think are cool, and good things will happen. You do that every so often, and you'll end up with a great life full of cool people when you get older. It's a good philosophy. It's not a fixed strategy that'll always work out, but it is a good loose philosophy to live by, and you end up with awesome people in your life. All right? Take it easy.